Oaxaca City, Mexico. The air was alive with the sweet scent of marigolds and the soft glow of candles. The Day of the Dead celebrations were in full swing, and the streets were vibrant with color and music. But amidst the joy and revelry, a sense of unease settled over Detective Emilio Moreno as he watched the festivities from his balcony. He had retired from the police force years ago, seeking solace in the quiet life. Yet, the thrill of the chase still lingered in his veins like a siren's call. A shrill ring pierced the night air, shattering the tranquility of Emilio's home. He hesitated, his hand hovering over the receiver, knowing that only one person would dare call him at this ungodly hour. The clock on his nightstand read 2:47 a.m., the darkness outside seeming to press in on him like a physical force. With a sense of foreboding, Emilio lifted the receiver to his ear. "Moreno," he growled, his voice like a rough-hewn stone, worn smooth by years of use. "Emilio, it's Captain Ortega." The captain's voice was tight, laced with a hint of desperation, like a man clinging to a fraying rope. "We need you." Emilio's gut twisted, a familiar sense of unease stirring in his belly. He knew that tone, that hesitant pause before the plea. It was a tone that spoke of a case gone wrong, of a desperate bid for salvation. His mind racing, Emilio's thoughts flashed back to his retirement, to the quiet life he'd built for himself. He'd left the darkness behind, or so he'd thought. But now, with Ortega's words hanging in the air like a challenge, Emilio felt the weight of his past bearing down on him. "What's the case?" he asked, his voice a little softer, a little more curious. "A murder, Emilio. During the Day of the Dead celebrations." Ortega's words tumbled out in a rush, as if he feared Emilio would hang up at any moment. "We can't let the killer walk free. We need your expertise, your particular set of skills." Emilio sighed, feeling the weight of his retirement lifting, like a door creaking open on hinges long rusted. He knew he shouldn't get involved, knew he should leave the past alone. But his curiosity, that cursed, insatiable curiosity, got the better of him. "Tell me more," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, the darkness outside seeming to lean in, as if eager to listen. And with that, Emilio knew he was back in the game, back in the darkness. The phone call had awakened something within him, something he thought he'd long buried. He was ready to face whatever horrors awaited him, ready to dance with the shadows once more. Emilio stepped out of the crisp night air and into the eerie glow of the crime scene. The colorful altarpiece, once a vibrant tribute to the deceased, now seemed grotesque, its beauty marred by the stark reality of death. Police tape flapped in the gentle breeze, like a macabre flag, while forensic markers littered the ground, casting an eerie, neon glow. As he approached the victim, Sophia, Emilio's heart sank. Her lifeless body seemed to mock him, her eyes frozen in a permanent stare, as if accusing him of failing to protect her. He felt a shiver run down his spine as he gazed upon her youthful face, now forever silenced. Emilio's trained eyes scanned the scene, drinking in every detail. The scattered marigolds, once a symbol of love and respect, now seemed like a grim mockery, their bright orange petals sullied by the darkness. The shattered candle, its waxen tears congealed on the cold ground, seemed to whisper tales of a desperate struggle. And then, his gaze fell upon the small, silver locket clutched in Sophia's hand. Emilio's mind raced as he pried open the locket, his heart heavy with foreboding. The symbol etched onto its surface was unmistakable, the mark of the infamous cartel, Los Muertos. A chill coursed through Emilio's veins as he stared at the locket, the air around him seeming to thicken with malevolence. He knew that symbol all too well, had seen it scrawled on walls, on bodies, and in the darkest recesses of his own mind. Los Muertos, the dead, were a cartel like no other, their power rooted in death, their influence stretching far and wide. As Emilio stood there, the locket seeming to burn in his hand, he knew that this case would be different. This was no ordinary murder, no simple crime of passion. This was a declaration of war, a message from the shadows, and Emilio was ready to answer. Emilio's mind was a maelstrom of questions and doubts as he embarked on the investigation. He was determined to unravel the tangled threads of Sofia's final night, to reconstruct the events that had led to her brutal murder. With each step, he felt the weight of responsibility settling upon him, the burden of uncovering the truth. He began by interviewing witnesses, their faces a blur as they recounted their stories. Some spoke of Sofia's laughter, her bright smile, while others whispered of her arguments, her tears. Emilio listened intently, his eyes boring into theirs, searching for any hint of deception. As he scoured the crime scene, Emilio's trained eyes scanned every inch, every detail. He noted the scattered marigolds, the shattered candle, and the small, silver locket. Each item whispered secrets, told tales of a life cut short. But with each new discovery, Emilio's unease grew. Sofia's family seemed reluctant to meet his gaze, their eyes darting away like frightened animals. The police department, too, seemed hesitant to cooperate, their answers laced with a subtle hostility. And then, there was the cartel's involvement. Los Muertos, the dead, lurked in every shadow, their presence felt but unseen. Emilio knew their tactics, their brutal efficiency. They left no stone unturned, no witness unbroken. As Emilio delved deeper into the case, he realized that nothing was as it seemed. Every lead, every witness, every piece of evidence seemed to hide a secret, a lie, a hidden agenda. The vibrant markets, once a hub of laughter and color, now seemed tainted, their bright hues dulled by the shadow of death. The dark alleys, too, held secrets, their narrow passageways whispering tales of desperation, of fear. Emilio walked these alleys, his heart pounding in his chest, his senses on high alert. He knew that in these shadows, he might find the key to unlocking the truth. But with each step, Emilio felt the danger closing in around him. He was playing with fire, dancing with the devil himself. Los Muertos would stop at nothing to keep their secrets buried, their grip on Oaxaca City unbroken. Emilio's investigation had become a dangerous game, a game of cat and mouse, where the stakes were life itself. He knew that he might not emerge unscathed, that the truth might come at a terrible cost. Emilio's investigation led him down a rabbit hole of secrets and lies as he navigated the complex web of Sofia's family and friends. Her mother, Maria, was a fragile, trembling leaf, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. But Carlos, Sofia's father, was a different story altogether. His stoic demeanor seemed calculated, his eyes glinting with a hint of menace. As Emilio pressed for information, he discovered that Sofia had been involved with a local activist group, passionate about stopping the construction of a new highway that would displace many indigenous communities. The group's leader, Leon, was a charismatic figure, but his evasive answers raised Emilio's suspicions. The police department's reluctance to share information, the coroner's vague autopsy report, and even Captain Ortega's sudden interest in the case all contributed to a sense of unease. Emilio's instincts screamed that something was off, that he was being played. As he dug deeper, Emilio found himself entangled in a web of deceit and corruption that threatened to destroy everything he thought he knew about Oaxaca City. The more he learned, the more he realized that Sofia's murder was just the tip of the iceberg. The shadows in Emilio's office seemed to grow longer and darker, as if the truth itself was hiding in the darkness, waiting to be uncovered. He could feel the weight of the conspiracy settling upon him, the air thickening with secrets and lies. Emilio knew he had to tread carefully, that one misstep could mean disaster. But he was driven by a fierce determination to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. He would follow the trail of clues, no matter where they led, even if it meant confronting the darkness head-on. The flickering candles in his office seemed to mock him, their shadows dancing on the walls like malevolent spirits. Emilio knew he was in for the fight of his life, that the truth would not be easily won. But he was ready, his heart steeled for the battles ahead. Emilio's search for answers led him down a winding path of narrow streets and crumbling buildings until he finally stumbled upon a small, mysterious shop tucked away in the historic center. The sign above the door read, "Curiosidades y Antigüedades," its letters faded and worn, like a whisper from the past. As he pushed open the creaky door, a bell above it rang out, its metallic tone echoing through the dimly lit interior. Emilio's eyes adjusted slowly to the darkness, and he made out the figure of a man, shrouded in shadows, standing behind the counter. "Welcome, Emilio," the stranger said, his voice low and gravelly, like the rustling of dry leaves. "I've been expecting you." Emilio's instincts prickled, his hand resting on the grip of his gun. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice firm. The stranger stepped forward, his features slowly emerging from the darkness. His eyes gleamed with an unnerving intensity, his smile hinting at secrets and mysteries beyond Emilio's comprehension. "I am Alejandro," he said, his voice dripping with an otherworldly charm. "And I sense that you are seeking answers about Sophia's murder." Emilio's skepticism was tempered by Alejandro's unnerving intensity. He felt a shiver run down his spine as the stranger began to speak, his words dripping with an ancient, mystical power. "The Day of the Dead celebrations hide a dark secret, Emilio," Alejandro whispered, his eyes glinting with a knowing light. "A secret that has been hidden for centuries, a ritual that has been performed in the shadows, away from prying eyes." Emilio's mind raced, his thoughts tumbling over each other in a mad dash to keep up with Alejandro's revelations. He felt like he was being pulled into a world beyond his wildest imagination, a world of ancient mysteries and forbidden knowledge. As he listened to Alejandro's words, Emilio couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being led deeper into a labyrinth of deceit and corruption, further into the heart of darkness that had claimed Sophia's life. Emilio's eyes narrowed as he stared at Captain Ortega, his mind reeling with shock and disbelief. The captain's betrayal cut deep, like a knife to the heart. Emilio had trusted him, confided in him, and now he knew that Ortega was secretly working with Los Muertos. "Eres un traidor." Emilio spat, his voice trembling with rage. "You're a traitor, Ortega. You used me. You used Sophia's family to further your own agenda." Ortega's expression remained calm, but Emilio could see the guilt lurking in his eyes. "I did what I had to do, Emilio," he said, his voice dripping with deceit. "I had to protect myself, my family. Los Muertos would have killed us all if I didn't cooperate." Emilio's anger boiled over, his fists clenched and ready to strike. "You're no better than they are," he growled, his voice low and menacing. "You're a monster, Ortega. A monster who uses his badge to hide his true nature." Ortega sneered, his face twisted in a cruel smile. "You're just a foolish detective, Emilio. You think you can take down Los Muertos? You think you can take me down? I have the power, the resources. You're just a lone wolf, a threat to my survival." Emilio knew he had to tread carefully to avoid becoming the next victim. He could see the calculation in Ortega's eyes, the cold, hard logic that drove him to betray his own colleagues. Emilio knew he had to be smart, to use his wits to outmaneuver Ortega and bring him down. With a deep breath, Emilio turned and walked away, his heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. He knew that he couldn't trust anyone now, that he was truly alone in this fight. But he also knew that he couldn't give up, not now, not when the stakes were so high. As he disappeared into the night, Emilio vowed to bring Ortega down, to expose his treachery to the world. He would not rest until justice was served, until the captain was held accountable for his crimes. The game was on, and Emilio was ready to play. Emilio's eyes scanned the yellowed pages, his heart racing with every word. The text, penned by a 16th-century Spanish friar, revealed a dark ritual hidden away for centuries. The ritual, meant to summon the spirits of the dead, sent shivers down Emilio's spine. As he read on, Emilio's mind reeled with the sinister implications. Sophia's murder was no ordinary crime. It was a sacrifice, a pawn in a larger game. Los Muertos, the cartel, was merely a player, a tool used to further a dark agenda. Emilio's thoughts tumbled over each other, his mind struggling to comprehend the sheer scope of the conspiracy. The ritual, hidden within the Day of the Dead celebrations, threatened to unravel the very fabric of Oaxacan society. He felt like he was staring into the abyss, the darkness staring back at him with cold, calculating eyes. Emilio knew he had to act fast, to stop the ritual before it was too late. But as he turned the pages, he realized that time was running out. The text spoke of a specific date, a date that coincided with the upcoming Day of the Dead celebrations. Emilio's heart sank, his mind racing with the implications. He knew he had to warn someone, anyone, but who could he trust? As he finished reading the text, Emilio felt a chill run down his spine. He knew he was in grave danger, that he had stumbled into something much bigger than himself. But he also knew that he couldn't back down, not now, not when the stakes were so high. With a sense of determination, Emilio closed the book, his mind made up. He would stop the ritual, no matter the cost. He would uncover the truth, no matter how dark it was. And he would bring justice to Sophia's family, no matter who stood in his way. The air was electric with tension as Emilio faced off against the mastermind behind Sophia's murder. The powerful figure, shrouded in shadows, seemed to revel in the darkness, their presence drawing the very light out of the air. "You're a hard man to find," Emilio growled, his eyes narrowing as he tried to pierce the darkness. "I've been waiting for you, Emilio," the figure replied, their voice low and menacing. "I've been waiting for you to play your part in this little game." As the night wore on, Emilio found himself trapped in a desperate game of cat and mouse. The streets, once filled with laughter and music, now became a labyrinth of danger and deception. Every alleyway seemed to hide a new threat, every shadow concealing a fresh terror. Emilio's heart raced as he navigated the treacherous landscape, his senses on high alert. He knew that one misstep could mean death, that the mastermind behind Sophia's murder would stop at nothing to claim their next victim. But Emilio refused to back down. He was driven by a fierce determination to uncover the truth, to bring justice to Sophia's family. He would not rest until the killer was brought to account, no matter the cost. As the game of cat and mouse reached its climax, Emilio found himself face to face with the mastermind. The figure loomed over him, their eyes blazing with a malevolent intensity. "You'll never win," Emilio spat, his voice firm. "You'll never get away with this." The mastermind laughed, the sound echoing off the walls. "We'll see about that," they replied, their voice dripping with malice. And with that, the final confrontation began. Emilio knew that only one of them would walk away alive. The question was, who would it be? The sun rose over Oaxaca City, casting a golden glow over the streets. Emilio stood victorious, but scarred, his eyes forever changed by the horrors he had confronted. He knew that the line between life and death was thin, and that sometimes the only way to find justice was to dance with the shadows. And so, Emilio Moreno, the retired detective, faded into the crowd, his heart heavy with the secrets he had uncovered, his mind forever haunted by the mysteries of the Day of the Dead.